So basically what we're doing today is Chicken and I are going to be going through the Balance Druid changes that we received coming into 10.1. Pretty extensive list. It was actually kind of a surprise that we got so much, but they actually added a lot of context as to why they were adding a bunch of this stuff as well. So I think that that's probably pretty important to go through.
Yeah, that's, in my opinion, the most important thing, because if they know what they have to go through, or like what they have to change, then they are most likely going to change it.
Yeah.
It is good that we know the reasoning behind all of it. That is the most important one. Not really what the changes. Okay, well, what they change is also important, but like the way they want to change the spec and how they want it to play out.
Yeah. So I guess starting at the very beginning, they have some notes. But I think the big points are like Stellar Flare and its interactions are so strong that it's best to take it in all scenarios and maintain a large numbers of targets, which is demanding to keep track of and make balances ramp at the beginning of fights very long. This is something that you and I have been pretty critical of for a very long time. Basically, you would in 10.0 you'd flare infinite number of targets. In 10.1 we flare up to 8 like 11 to 7 targets depending on your build and stuff like that, but
yeah,
realistically you're flaring infinite number of targets. And so I actually think that this is surprisingly very correct, and it was quite annoying to be flaring on AoE. Eclipse and effects that trigger on entering eclipses are so strong that they de-incentivize druids to use lunar eclipse in all situations. That they incentivize druids to use lunar eclipse in all situations because it's faster to trigger. This is obviously an issue with with our 4-set in particular. That's the one that's probably the biggest deal, but like obviously we also have things like Balance of All Things, we have Nature's Grace, yeah, which are probably the two big ones.
Probably Nature's Grace is like insane.
Yeah. Those are the two big ones. And then there are enough bonuses to Starfire splash damage that it's optimal to target an enemy next to your focus target. God damn, that was cringe, by the way.
Oh, like, I know Canex was doing this, and I think he was the only person that was doing it. I asked a bunch of people if they were doing it, or if they wanted to do it. They said, nah, fuck that, bro, that's too cooked. But yeah, Canex actually was doing, like, the Weaver stuff, where he was focus targeting a random mob in the pack, and then he was priority targeting the star surges of Weaver onto the good one, which is crazy that he can do that. But yeah.
So basically what he's saying is like it was optimal to never Starfire your main target, but like if you were dumping star surges into the main target, so you would Starfire off of an off target and then star surge the main target. So like an example would be like the first boss in court. Say you had an ad summon on it or whatever, you would be
Kurog.
or Kurog, or Kurog. You would be Starfiring off the ad on Kurog. Every single time you would Star Surge from Weaver procs or whatever, you would literally Star Surge the boss, and so you'd have to like either use like a focus macro or like target swap in some capacity, and that it wasn't the biggest damage gate ever, but it was worth it. It's worth enough to where you look at it, you're like, what the fuck is that shit? But I think
it was worth like 1-2%, I'm pretty sure. Even in like last phase on Korok, wherever it's completely irrelevant to target the ad, to like damage it at all.
Yeah.
You were still doing that, which is crazy.
Dumbass situation. But I think that these three major things are like actually pretty important things that they needed to look to fix, and so the fact that they addressed those at the very beginning of the post, I think it's spectacular. Big fan.
Yeah.
We're significantly reducing the power of some of Balance's most impactful talents and bonuses. We want Balance to be enjoyable to play and powerful whenever played well and in scenarios that's well suited for. We'll be buffing Balance elsewhere to make up for those power reductions. Keep an eye on its tuning. And obviously we have things such as like our capstone nodes, which have been criminally underpowered pretty much since expansion launch. I mean, this is no surprise that the capstone nodes have just been god awful. And so I think that those things need addressing, while as other things such as, I don't know if I've ever unselected Pulsar, not that that's necessarily going to be changing in the patch, but I don't know if I've ever necessarily unselected Pulsar. I also have things like Starlord, which have also never been unselected. And so
the Pulsar thing did get changed in the way that it made it more powerful against the other choice node. But
yeah, thank God. That's what we were really hoping for.
So that's cool.
All right. So Stellar Flare specifically, A lot of its power is driven by its interactions with talents such as Shooting Stars, Cosmic Rapidity, and Waning Twilight. Cosmic Rapidity is like the dot duration. Like dots do damage a little bit faster, and Waning Twilight is obviously like whenever you have 3 dots on a target, you just do more damage to those mobs. These interactions are strong enough to where it's taken for all fights, all situations, honestly, too. Even in Plus, our goal is to make Stellar Flare an optional talent that you choose if you're interested in a dot focus build, and it should be the most effective against small numbers of targets. I agree. That's how it's always. That's how it always was. That's how it always has been. There have been a lot of people bitching about having to flare on AOE. I think that this has been a pretty big point of criticism from more casual players, but I've honestly also had this criticism where it's like, oh, this is annoying. So
yeah, it was also raising the skill ceiling of the spec like way too high, I think.
Yes, agree.
Like you shouldn't need to think about how many exact targets do I have to dot and how much exactly will the add live in this spec that I am able to Stellar Flare on it without losing damage, and you have to think like 15 seconds in advance and know how fast the pack will die. That is just way too hard.
Am I supposed to be flaring or am I supposed to be bat chesting?
Yeah.
So basically, we're removing Stellar Flare's interaction with Shooting Stars. This will significantly decrease how essential it is for Astral power generation, especially in multi-target situations. To compensate, we're going to increase Astral power generation for other sources and boost finisher damage. This reads great. I think that like Flare was a major source for our AP generation, specifically from things like, especially from things like Solstice, especially from things like Orbit Breaker, that kind of thing, where you were just getting free Shooting Stars procs all the time. That was really, really good. We like that Stellar Flare makes it possible to maintain Waning Twilight bonus with 100% uptime on affected targets. However, we like it to be easier for other builds to make use of Waning Twilight. So we're extending the duration of Astral Smolder's dot and creating a new choice node with Stellar Flare that increases Wrath and Starfire Astral power generation and crit, making it easier to trigger Astral Smolder. I thought that this was completely out of left field whenever I first read this. I was like, wow, wait a second. They're giving us a new choice node with Flare? That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, in order for them to make Stellar Flare not mandatory, they kind of have to do that in some capacity.
Yeah.
Right now, the question is, the choice node, is that going to be wanted above like 3 targets, above 2 targets, above 4 targets, above 5 targets? That is a very big numbers game.
Yeah, and
so you have to play it correctly. It has to be like 3 or 4 targets and above. You really want that talent. I don't know if they achieved that. We need numbers on that, but
well, that's just a numbers game, though, right?
Yeah, but they actually have to hit it in order for them to make it viable, right?
Historically, Smolder has been like Smolder and like a Smolder centric build with Umbral Embrace and stuff like that, or Umbral Intensity, has been one that we talked about a little bit, but it was not super popular, even though it sims decently because of how hard it is to play. But maybe it's going to be a little bit more viable, like you said, on AOE situations, really strong on 4+ target spots. I guess we'll see. Entering Eclipse in 10.0 set bonus. TLDR, the 10.0 set bonus probably a little bit too strong. And the 4-piece bonus is changing from a free finisher dealing 35% extra damage to a 5 Astral power discounted finisher dealing 20% extra damage.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is what it is.
Wow.
Got a bit shot, I think. I mean, they did say that they want to. Did they say that they want to raise the power of the sets a bit?
Morgan Day said that in an interview with Dratnus that they wanted the set bonuses across the board to be a little bit more powerful. Yeah, which Moonkin already had. It did have the strongest set bonus in the game, DPS wise, and it was a bit over 15%. So, I don't know. This
on AOE.
This really does make sense. Yeah, I mean, this really does make sense in regards to like.
Yeah, you don't want to run 4-piece next year.
Yeah, or the tier after that, even.
Or the tier after that, like it was in the case with Nightfall 2-piece or something.
Yeah, exactly. I think that this is you know, it's gonna maybe suck a little bit in the interim of when you don't have when you don't have like your 4-set or whatever for the next tier. But this is overall going to increase the health of the spec, and I think that a lot of the changes that we're seeing are QOL stuff, but it's also based off the fact that this 4-set is getting absolutely fucking shot straight into the ground.
Yeah, well, it wasn't really an option for you to play the 4-set, right? Anyways, a bit later into the tier.
Yeah.
If the power levels are anywhere near close to each other. But the 2-set was an option, which I don't know if that will make a difference or not, if we will play that 2-set still. But wait, aren't there only 5 pieces, or am I tripping?
Yeah, there's only 5 pieces.
Yeah.
So we would never do that anyways.
So we would never do that anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
So they fixed it. Good job, Blizzard.
I think overall, I'm down for them to make really strong tier set bonuses, even really polarizing ones like this, assuming that the spec is balanced as well. I'm really down for them to make polarizing tier set bonuses and then kind of nerfing them a bit after the fact. That just, it opens up the door for them to really make cool stuff. Obviously, the 4-set bonus felt so sick once you got that online and you got the free spender. That was a banger, but of course we can't be keeping a 15% damage gain going into the next tier. That's just like, it's going to cause problems later on or later down the line, but the willingness to be able to nerf it after the fact is totally okay with me.
Starfire, yeah, it's also good
sorry.
that they kept the spender to eclipse ratio around the same, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah.
With the new changes, which is going to feel about the same even without the 4-piece, which is very good.
Okay, so the last point they wanted to address was Starfire AOE. Several effects increase the damage to Starfire deals to nearby enemy targets during Eclipse, even pushing it above its primary target damage. To change this, we're changing Soul of the Forest. This was almost exclusively caused from Soul of the Forest to instead increase Starfire's damage and Astral power generation against multiple targets. This is cool. This was also kind of unexpected whenever I first read this, that Soul of the Forest is going to increase AP generation from Starfire against multiple targets. Now, that's gonna be a banger. I'm a big fan of anything that gives me slightly more astral power on AOE.
Yeah, that is very good, especially that they remove 4-piece, as we said before.
Okay, so let's go through the extensive change list. Shooting stars no longer be triggered by stellar flare. We knew this. The new talent, Wild Surges. Your chance to critically strike with Wrath and Starfire is increased by 15%, and Wrath and Starfire generate 2 additional astral power. This is a choice node with Stellar Flare. And so, I mean, I'm logged on to PTR right now. I mean, we can see where it is. It's literally just a choice node with Stellar Flare. Do you have anything that you really want to say about this? Is there anything to say about this?
Yeah, so again, this like competes directly with Stellar Flare, and this is competing with Waning Twilight uptime, right?
Yeah.
Not only with Stellar Flare, it's like competing with uptime on Waning Twilight. On lower amount of targets, you will always play Stellar Flare just because of Waning Twilight uptime. On higher targets, it's gonna depend on, like in M+, for example, there are a lot of dungeons where you will always play Stellar Flare.
Yeah.
On like court and stuff. But in the ones with higher target counts, like Knockwood or whatever, it's gonna be the same deal as Weaver Rattle mostly was this patch. In those dungeons where you would play Rattle,
yeah,
you will play Wild Surges hopefully.
Hopefully, and then is Smolder on the table? You think then?
Yeah, if you don't play Stellar Flare, you will always play one Smolder just because of Waning Twilight, right?
Yeah. And then use maybe mushrooms to bridge mushrooms with fungal growth to bridge
the gap.
Uptime. Yeah.
Like at the start, you place down a mushroom, you get your Waning Twilight, and then you start spamming some Starfires for the
yeah. That makes sense. In addition to that, Wrath.
Can we go now to the Smolder one?
What's up? What about the Smolder one? Oh, this one.
The patch notes.
Oh yeah.
Because it's directly bridges.
Yeah. Astral Smolder deals damage over 8 seconds, up from 4, and its damage is increased to 40/80% of spell damage, up from 20/40. So basically, what this is going to do is, on top of if you take Wild Surges, your uptime on Smolder should be a lot higher. They're also doubling the uptime on Smolder just in general, which I don't know if it needed a damage buff on top of this, but I'm down to take it.
Yeah, well, the damage buff is gonna get lowered by the Soul of the Forest change because this is strictly an AOE talent, right?
That's true. Yeah.
And
yeah,
then if you go to the Soul of the Forest change, it is going to decrease its overall damage by a bit.
yeah.
This will also scale with the amount of targets you are currently targeting.
Okay.
Because the Starfire goes up to 90%. I'm assuming it is linear, so like at 2 targets it will get 30% buffed.
Yeah, sure.
And then 60 and then 90. So like at 4 targets you get 90% damage and AP gen now. Before it was only 150 to the ones around your first target.
Yeah.
This one will also target the this will also affect the damage of the target you are currently targeting.
I think that in addition that the fact that you're generating 19 astral power per Starfire, whenever you're hitting multiple targets like that is so cool. It makes it really does make sense, and I think that the fact that it's hard capped at 4 is probably the correct approach.
It is. I really like that.
I don't think it should be infinitely scaling or something like that. We shouldn't be able to get 100 astral power per Starfire on the first pull of Alg Academy or some bullshit like that, right?
Yeah, they made this really good. I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
I would like them to make a Starfire, like area of effect increase node. Like you know how you have those area of effect increase nodes in like High Noon or something, or like
oh my god. Okay, yeah, something like
yeah, something like that that actually lets me hit something that isn't complete pixel stacked.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's 8 yards, right? It's not.
Yeah. But like you get what I mean, right?
Yeah, you want it to be like 15.
I want my Starfire to actually hit stuff.
Sure. I mean, that makes sense. I think that's I doubt that they would change that, but it would be interesting for sure.
Yeah, I would love that.
Okay, so in addition to that, we have Wrath and Starfire generate 10 astral power up from 8, and Moonfire and Sunfire generate 6 astral power up from 2. Okay, what the fuck is this Moonfire and Sunfire generate 6 astral power up from 2 shit?
Yeah, that is... Okay, so it is good.
It's strong.
We do not...
It's strong, it is, say.
Yeah, it is very strong. So let's talk about the abuse first. So obviously Twin Moons just duplicates your Moonfire cast.
Yeah, okay.
So it will actually generate 12 if you hit 2 targets or more with
yes.
it. Not or more, yeah, but if you're like fighting 2 targets, you will get 12 astral power with Twin Moons.
Yes, correct.
Now, if you play Stellar Innervation, is that the name even? Yes, Stellar Innervation.
This that cringe talent, yes.
Yeah, that will double the AP generated, so you'll get 24 AP per cast. So you will most likely, if this goes through, you will spam Moonfire instead of unbuffed Starfires or something.
24 AP per cast. Okay, let me go.
So this will basically be a replacement to Stellar Flare in M+. Something along those lines, but you can move with it. If this goes through, hopefully it doesn't go through. Please, like, nerf it. Okay, again, this was what I said at the start of the beta cycle. That if this talent somehow manages to do this, which apparently managed to do, then it will be a Moonfire spam thing.
Oh, I have to enter Lunar Eclipse for this to work?
Yes.
Dude, I actually genuinely don't know how this fucking talent works because I've never played it. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, so it gives me how much? 24? Oh my fucking god, it's like all of my astral power.
Yes, it's like you cast 3 or something and then you get the Starfall. If you also play Elun's Guidance.
Okay.
Which if you alt-tab and read the Elun's Guidance changes,
yeah,
then they buff that also. So
yeah,
whenever you are inside Incarn, you pop the fuck off.
Alright, so this probably needs to be nerfed from 6, probably what, back down to 3? If they're gonna buff?
4 is fine, 4 is fine.
4 is
because
fine?
Of the Soul of the Forest change, right? They also upped that, so if that is above Moonfire, then it will be fine. This also helps you with like movement and stuff, right?
Yeah.
This also helps newer players because whenever you're moving, then you will just get more AP and you will be able to go up to your generator faster. So you will be able to use your generator as a proper movement
Yeah,
global.
sure. I think that this is the wrong number. I think that
I like the intent of the change.
Yeah.
Yes, that is very good.
I think either 3 or 4 is probably the correct number. I don't think it's 6. The fact that I'm able to do whatever the fuck this is, get into Lunar Eclipse and then press Starfire for 24 Astral power, nearly my whole AP bar, by the way, is very, very weird.
Yeah, maybe they should either do that or change the interaction with Twin Moons, but I would like that to stay because some bug with it will arise at some point and I want to abuse that.
Yeah.
So don't change that. Thank you.
Twin Moons doing like on hit stuff is kind of weird.
That is good for like explosive week. I love that. Please keep that.
It's
and,
always been like
just
that.
Change the generator number. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always been like that, but yeah, that's, I don't know. It's fine. All right, Stellar Flare generates 10 AP up from 8. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, doesn't affect anything.
Nature's Balance generates 2 Astral Power every 3 seconds, up from 1 every 2.
This also doesn't impact much. It's just more AP generation on single target. Because it's only a single target talent. You do not have enough talent points to pick it on AoE.
Yeah, I mean, they basically hit all of our generators, though, including Wrath and Starfire. Like, they literally hit everything that gens AP in our tree, realistically. So they hit EG.
They didn't hit Astral Communion, trees, and stuff like that.
Well, that's true, actually. But they didn't hit, like, mushrooms.
which are the bad nodes.
Yeah.
I think they should have hit those as well.
Oh, yeah, Mushroom's really bad node.
Mushroom did get indirectly nerfed.
That's true.
But it did get kind of indirectly buffed because of the starvation on waning twilight.
Yeah, the waning bell. Yeah, that makes sense.
It will still keep its niche of being the quote-unquote burst AoE talent, which I like. You having niche talents like that is very cool, I think. I think that is the purpose of the talent tree, right?
It certainly makes our talents less clear as to what we are supposed to specifically take for M+, is what I will say about it, right? Like,
yeah.
Right now, we have most of the talents in our tree have some flexible amount of purpose, in the sense of a lot of them do both AoE and single target damage in some capacity. Whether or not they're like super strong on AoE versus super strong on M+, that's dependent on the node. But a lot of them have like multi-purpose solutions. So if you think about it, Boat is particularly strong on single target, but it's also pretty good on AoE. You're never like too upset about it.
Yep.
That also kind of translates into things such as, Stellar Flare and stuff like that, where it's like a lot of the nodes have to seriously compete with one another for M+. And so, like you said, it did get indirectly nerfed by buffing things such as Astral Smolder builds and other potential nodes maybe being a little bit more popular, but it also got indirectly buffed by Stellar Flare looking like it may not be as, popular for M+. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I think it really just depends on the build as to whether or not mushrooms are still going to be taken or not. And obviously it still depends on tuning. That mushrooms and fungal growth, just the amount of damage that they do is always very high.
Yeah, especially if you have, they're very abusable, right? Because some small stuff will always live very short if there's like tons of it, and that just is uncapped AoE that is very fast to dish out.
God, I love shitters. Okay,
yeah.
Star Surge and Starfall damage increased by 20%. Wow. All right, that's not what I expected, but I think that this is generally seen to counteract this Touch of the Cosmos, which is our 4-step bonus nerf. Which we covered that a little bit earlier.
It's mostly that, and mostly that our kit revolves more around spenders, I think, with also the Starfire nerf.
Mm-hmm.
That is, for AoE at least, it revolves a bit more around spenders, I would assume. Like, the changes are going in that direction for sure.
Well, yeah, in addition to that, we're having more generations, so we should be able to cast spenders a little bit more often, too.
Yeah. Should be around the same or a bit more, I would assume.
Mm-hmm. Cosmic Rapidity increases the rate at which Moonfire, Sunfire, and Stellar Flare deal damage by 20%, down from 25%. This is fine.
This is just a flat. This is a bigger nerf than it sounds, right? Because they completely gutted shooting stars.
Yeah.
Without you proccing shooting stars from stellar flare, and then also lowering the overall what should I say? The rapidity of the dots.
Yeah, the
I don't
rapidity
know.
of the dots. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. How fast the dots tick. That makes shooting stars a bit worse. And I do not know if that changes Orbit Breaker in some capacity of you actually
interesting.
picking Orbit Breaker as a tier 3 node. I need to look at that. It's still wait, let me look. I will find it soon.
It's probably
Because
still
we actually have.
it's probably still good because of Solstice and stuff like that. Like even without flaring mobs. God, I don't know.
Oh yeah, Orbit Breaker is Poggers, never mind. You
Yeah.
keep that always.
Then that node is still good, so
It's worse on single target than it is on AoE. But it is still like very high end middle of the pack.
yeah, which I mean
Which
makes
I think
sense.
you will just pick everywhere unless it's like pure single target would be the only place where you don't. And in that case it would have to compete with 2 points in balance of all things. Which I don't think you pick over Orbit Breaker, but that's just a numbers game.
Well,
Because you always want Denizen, right? On single target.
Well, yeah, now. Okay, so first off, 10.0.7, they're buffing Denizen. 10.1
by 100%.
Yeah, 10.1, they're buffing Denizen again. Fairy Dragon damage increased by 20%, and then Friend of the Fae now increases Arcane and Nature damage by 8% for 20 seconds, was 4% for 30. Good.
Which is still
God.
a buff. It's a bigger buff than you think because it overlaps a lot in those 30 seconds, right? Them making it 20 seconds makes it overlap way less. I think we had some number on that. I think it was around 5% or something. I might be wrong, but I know I read it somewhere around 5%.
Just the Denizen buff in 10.0.7 is 5%?
Yeah, Friend of the Fae is around 5%, I'm pretty sure, overall. I can get corrected on that.
Okay, I understand what you're saying now. Yeah. Okay, so
someone please go correct me on the numbers of Friend of the Fae, and then Denizen of the Dream was Dispatch around 4%, I'm pretty sure. And then it got buffed by 100%, so it would go up to like 8%. And then with the 20% damage, it would be around 9 to 10%, right?
I love that
something around that.
I love that they're like, yeah, Moonkin single target kind of fucking sucks. How do we buff it without buffing the rest of the spec? They go, what if we just buff this? What if we just buff this Denizen?
Which is okay, which is respectable, right? I mean, they know what they have to do, and this is like kind of a weird change, right? Because it's what this change does is basically make the spec easier because you're less reliant on pressing the correct spells and the amount that you're pressing the spells.
Yeah.
Then it also, on like the dark side of the thing, it's more RNG reliant. Because now you're reliant a lot on proccing Denizen, which will in course proc Friend of the Fae and buff your ass by like 8%. I'm like, okay.
Side note, I was playing Denizens and Temple of the Jade Serpent the other day, and I accidentally pulled a pack with it because I was thinking, and I just like I prowled past the pandas and accidentally pulled them with it. I was like, oh
yeah.
fuck, man.
Oh yeah. This also makes you want to pick Denizens way more in M+, right? Because it will have a huge single target impact. It's probably your best fucking node on like 2 targets even. Well, it's not the best node, but yeah, it's like close to. It's very good on like 2 targets even. If it's 10% single target, it's like 5% AoE, right? And then you're still gonna have like 5% AoE from Friend of the Fae, which is like big fucking damn. I don't know. It's gonna crank Tyrannical.
I think that this just improves the odds that you take it in some situations, right? This probably is going to be universally taken now, but
yeah, I wish. Okay, if I had to wish for something, please make it stealth whenever you stealth, and make it follow you like a leash, right? If you go like 20 yards away from it, make it like go into that 20 leash range.
I'm down for it to just not pull mobs.
Yeah, or just not pull mobs, just put like a whitelist around it or something. Yeah, I don't know. It was a magic
shit like that. Radiant Moonlight also. Okay, so
you missed Goldrinn.
Oh, Goldrinn, yeah. Goldrinn damage increased by 75%. My fucking god.
So this is also 10% of your damage. This now hits more than Star Surge,
What?
which is funny. Yeah, Goldrinn is now a 160% spell power thing. Yeah.
Okay. More than
Now 160% spell power, and your Star Surge is 140.
my Star Surge. Wait a
So,
second.
but this also has a 33% proc chance, right? So it's a 1 in 3 that
Yeah.
hits more than your Star Surge.
Wait a second.
So, slot Makin, please, Gamba.
Rock. No, fuck. BG. I lower. Hold on. I should be starfiring for 19 astral power. All right.
Should be moonfiring for 24.
Well, I don't want my combat log clogged up. Wait, I shouldn't have Fury Balloon then. Wait a second. That's kind of weird.
Wait a second, guys.
All right, surely. Bang. No. Fuck. All right. Star Surge hit for 16,000. Goldrinn hit for 38k, but it crit. So about
Yeah, it's basically the same.
yeah, basically the same. What the fuck? All right, cool. That's a lot.
I'm assuming it doesn't get buffed by some things. Okay, put it on the to-do list. Look for why Golden is bugged, because it's not buffed by some weird ass aura, I'm assuming, because it should do a bit more.
It should do a little bit more interesting. Well, I didn't have mass. I guess it didn't matter, right? Because they're both astral.
Yeah, it's just some random fucking shit.
I don't know what it is. I don't know.
We will have to find out. Unlucky. Okay, so we can go.
But doing shit like that kind of also inadvertently buffs Convoke a little bit. Obviously not much, but a little bit. Not by enough to where it's taken, but you know.
But it doesn't change anything, right?
That's true. Nothing directly. And then the last couple of stuff.
Can you spender increase? No, I don't think I am. Correct. So it should do the same because of the spender increase. Yes, correct. They increase spender damage by 20%. So I'm assuming that's just a flat aura and it is not buffing spell power. Because if I look,
that makes sense.
No, it does get buffed. It does get buffed on the calculator. It is now 137%. It used to be 114%. So that does account that buff.
Okay. And then Radiant Moonlight also increases Fury of Balloon's damage by 50% and reduces its cooldown by 20 seconds, was 15 seconds. And Radiant Moonlight increased the damage dealt by New Moon, Half Moon, and Full Moon by 25%. Straight up,
so
this has got to be the most undertaken shit. I've never even thought about these fucking nodes. This is Fury of Balloon perma, never Radiant Moonlight. And that's how it's been. I CBA fucking with New Moon even on single target.
Yeah, so now how this looks like is the Radiant Moonlight increasing Moonfire, Half Moon, Full Moon is complete useless. Now this makes New Moon complete useless on single target. And you now, as far as I read, I slept for 2 hours, then woke up and then read the message. Now you always take Fury of Balloon with Radiant Moonlight, at least on single target. I'm not sure about AOE yet.
Oh, dude, I am about to run out of talent points if you're telling me that I need to take that. Wait a second. Where am I getting all these points from?
So Radiant Moonlight Fury of Balloon is 5% damage, which is a bit lower than Friend of the Fae on 4 targets now. So you would, if you would take Denizen for the single target, which is 3.5% damage on 4 targets.
Yes.
You would also take Friend of the Fae, and you would not take Radiant Moonlight if you had enough points for that. So yeah.
Interesting.
So you would not take Radiant Moonlight in AOE.
Obviously, these are pending like a large amount of sims, right, to make sure that these numbers do line
up.
Right
now, this is some very cooked single talent point calculations that are very cooked. Don't take that into. These are not by any means final sims. These are like very napkin math things.
So is there, I guess nodes that really didn't get addressed at all? Any chance that we don't run Incarn? Any chance that we don't run Pulsar? I mean, just from
Pulsar got buffed indirectly by the by the orbital strike nerf. So yeah,
Wait,
Pulsar is still a
how do they nerf orbital strike?
15%. Pulsar is by far your best talent.
All right.
By like
we're gonna keep that on.
5%.
Okay.
So Orbital Strike, the shit talent that should have been buffed, got nerfed by the fact that Stellar Flare no longer procs shooting stars.
Ah, yeah.
So yeah,
It fucking did, didn't it? Now. Oh god.
yeah, exactly.
So now what?
Now you always just play Pulsar like before.
Well, that's how it is.
Yeah, 5-head nerf, unlucky, got
Okay.
shot down for no reason.
So, okay, what do you want to show? I'm good to show.
We can quickly go through some talents, I guess.
I think that overall, though, it's gonna be interesting to see like what sims end up showing with these talents later on. I obviously nothing's 100% set in stone yet. Things are pending changes. Things are pending tuning, but I think that overall these are pretty good changes. Just looking at them as a whole. All right, let me pop out this. I'm good to show this, right? Good to show the screen.
Yeah, you're good to show.
All right, perfect. I don't want to fucking leak anything. All right.
No, that's fine.
Let's take a look.
Okay, so this got completely this was completely unchanged. We don't have to go through the class tree.
By the way,
now let's quickly do a single target one.
These other druid specs fucking hate our class tree. The class tree for Moonkin, not bad. Not a hater.
So you will at least run something like this. Now you have a choice either between Smolder here or Umbler Embrace. This also depends on if you want Firmament or not.
Yeah,
I will assume you want Firmament.
I assume that
one in this, one in this, one in this, one in this for sure. Then it's Incan or Convoke, and then it's 2 in this always, and then it's I think always Fury of Balloon. I have to go double check really quick. This is 5%. So this is a bit better than this, so I will just pick this.
Okay.
This is like 0.2% better on single target apparently. But it's obviously RNG, so if you want to burger flip your log, then you pick this.
Uh-huh. Oh, dude. With the amount of
and
Astral
then it's
power,
Weaver or Rattle.
Yeah,
right?
with the
And
amount of
then
Astral power we're generating, is Weaver infinite Val now?
Well, it's the same value as this. You getting more Astral power does not affect this node. Right? Because both of them require Astral power to be good.
I guess.
It's like the same thing. Right? If you don't want to run this, you get like 2 free points here. You get this.
True.
It's obviously going to be Rattle because you cannot proc Weaver, right? But if you were to go into here, you could probably play Weaver Incan like this.
Yeah, we have to talent Starfall at some point for that.
It is okay. I should also point out that if a trinket like Codex appears again, which is do nature damage on use or do arcane damage on use, you talenting into this is very good because this and Waning Twilight buff trinkets. This flat buffs all damage trinkets. This flat buffs all nature or arcane damage trinkets.
Wait, what? I actually didn't even know that.
You didn't know that Codex got buffed by
No, I did not know that. No. Well,
now you know.
Do I look like a fucking Codex enjoyer, man? No.
I progged on it. And then fun fact, I started progression on Rosaget with Codex. Then I looted from Vault a max eye level icon.
Yeah.
And then my raid leader told me, no, keep playing Codex because it's good shield damage and it's good intermission 1 damage on the shield.
Go farm a whetstone. Bro. Go farm a whetstone, bro.
Yeah, but Codex does infinite damage.
I can't believe you're using Codex during the fucking shield phase. I get so low sometimes anyways. All right, whatever.
That's pretty... But he always barks in that, so...
That's true. I barks in every single time. That is a good point.
But yeah. Single target will probably be something like this.
Sure.
You can most likely go Convoke, or like, obviously this goes here, but yeah, I do not have to explain that surely. But yeah, AoE you will have to cook something like this. If this is viable, you
Dude.
pick this always,
Yeah.
and then you will have to always pick Twin Moons, and then you just go down the normal shit. This always. Okay, now. Whew. Maybe you
I
run
don't know.
this, and then you go one in Smolder. Now you cook really hard. This is a 3-point.
Yeah.
Weaver also got buffed. It is good to mention. On AoE, Weaver got buffed because of the Goldrinn buff.
That's true.
Then this is always. Oof, now you maybe pick mushrooms. You always pick Incarn. Always pick Fury of Elune.
Denizens probably 2
Oh, and now you have
points.
only one talent. Good job, guys. Oof. That's.
Just the one dog, maybe?
I mean, this is either just one dog. This is either one Radiant Moonlight. This is either one UI maybe, but this got nerfed because of the Soul of the Forest change, right? So you have to keep
Yeah,
that in mind
sure.
also.
I didn't even think about that. I think it's
And you're also running one in Umbral Embrace, which makes it even worse. So it's most likely gonna be one dog for your single target missions.
I think that
Right? If you're
just off the initial impressions of looking at these on AoE, it's like I think that Firmament is so hard to take now. Just looking at what how some of these talents are
if
going
you're
to impact
running Wild
influx.
Surges, if you're running this new talent, this directly buffs Smolder, right?
Yes.
So which is good. I love that they made crit and not flat damage, like by like 10%, because this directly buffs Smolder, which will make this more consistent. If you were to run Flare, you wouldn't run this obviously. You would most likely put 2 into this and then run the same shit that you did before.
Which I mean, it may still be a situation where Flare is too good on, single target, 2 target, 3 targets to where you just won't press it on AoE, but you'll press it still on single target. You just still want to have it talented.
Would be nice if Smolder was 1 point. Well,
especially
good news for you. Smolder's uptime does not change between 1 and 2 points, so it will most of the time always be a 1-pointer. Unless it does insane correct damage, and then you will drop 2 here, and then you put 2 here like before, or like 1 here, I guess. So you can advance further. You can advance further anyways.
It is about to do European EDM crack damage at 40-80% of spell damage up from 2040. That is an absolutely massive buff that it got. And it was already
so you
good.
Could technically run something like this, but how viable this cooked thing is, I don't know.
I don't know. Probably not. Probably not for M+, right? That
I am assuming not for M+, because you lose so much single target damage. It's crazy. With the other thing, you can get so much single target. It's
we've already seen this season that like there are full AoE builds, and you would never be like you're not even willing to sacrifice that much single target to play AoE builds this season. Obviously, that's not true for every single dungeon, but we've already seen that you are not willing to drop just a ton of single target to play for slightly more AoE.
Yeah, people are already tending to go into way more single target than needed, or like not more than needed, but like more than AoE.
Yeah,
they are weighing single target way more.
Well, because we do good AoE regardless, right? And our single target damage is a fucking crime if we're not talenting into some of it.
Yeah, so now you will have to talent into Denizen if you want good single target, right?
Yeah.
Because this is you're like fucking.
Dude,
I don't know.
I'm playing one mushroom, no fungal growth, Denizen in Temple of the Jade Serpent sometimes because I want more single target damage.
Yeah.
No fungal growth. Like, what the fuck?
After seeing what happened this season, I am assuming this will be what we play next season. Something like this, maybe, or like maybe one in Smolder or something. Maybe you play Wild Surges. Okay.
I really feel like that talent's not that useful.
I think you don't play this. I think this is just a flat nerf to Flare. But I will leave it as a maybe.
I think in a primal council build, like really heavy sustained AoE, right? Not like it's in a sustained AoE council style fight where all the mobs are stacked. I could see it being good. specifically like a build like this. I just don't see it being good on like multi-purpose AoE situations, like anything that has like a priority target or anything that you have to do extended periods of single target damage, like an M+ dungeon. I just can't see a build like this being that great, especially that Wild Surge's talent. I just cannot see it being like that sick.
Yeah.
Nor do I think it necessarily needs
I
to be
don't know.
buffed either. Like I don't think it's a situation where it's like the solution here is to buff Wild Surges even more. I think it's just like,
I think for something like this to be viable, you have to somehow make Smolder more viable.
mm-hmm.
Or like not make Smolder more viable. You have to. You like really need something like Orbital Strike, right? To be viable.
Yeah.
Like to be like really fucking viable. Like really, really fucking viable. Like buff this by like 400%.
Yeah. I think overall though, like just even looking at these changes, this makes, even though nothing's set in stone, I still do think that these are overall like changes that are in the correct direction. Shooting stars no longer being able to be triggered by stellar flare, that was a problem for a while. It forced us to flare on AoE. While Wild Surges, you know, it may not be like the best solution here. I think it makes sense, like what it's doing. And I think that overall, I don't have too many complaints with these changes. They caught me off guard that they did so much.
Yeah, good direction and good changes. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Yeah, well played.
Certainly needed a 4-set nerf and a buff to compensate, which we are getting pretty directly. It's almost everything went up across the board. If you look at all these are pretty much all damage ups, and including Star Surge and Starfall directly getting buffed.
Yeah, the only weird thing is that you will still go into Lunar Eclipse if you pick Soul of the Forest, which looks like you will always.
Do we want to show numbers on this, or does it not matter really? You think?
No, don't show numbers on that.
No numbers.
Well,
okay.
I guess you can just show the number on the Soul of the Forest thing. That's the only thing you want to show.
Link it. I don't want to pull up the wrong thing.
I will.
Oh,
just
you can show it. Okay, yeah.
It's something like this. So this means that you will go. This is with Soul of the Forest.
Yes.
So Lunar is base, so you will go into Lunar above Solar, and this is without Soul of the Forest. Obviously, do not look at the raw number. This is with different talent builds and stuff. But Solar is above Lunar in without Soul of the Forest.
Other way around.
Solar is above Lunar without Soul of the Forest. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at this line, this block that's in the middle, some of the shit that's on the right, particularly like Umbral and Tinstone and Lunar Shrapnel, are nodes that we haven't taken, especially we haven't dumped points into for a while. And so like Soul of the Forest was pretty universally selected in like every build, right? Assuming that Stellar Innovation is not going to be taken, assuming that you're not going to put a bunch of points in Astral Smolder and stuff like that, I expect that Soul of the Forest is still going to be taken in a lot of situations, which maybe means we end up in Lunar Eclipse again.
So I have to correct this. This is without Soul of the Forest. Yes. No Soul of the Forest. Yes, Soul of the Forest.
Oh, okay.
I flipped that around.
Lunar without. Okay, so I mean, we're gonna end up playing Soul of the Forest most of the time anyway, so we'll be hopefully in Solar more often than not.
Yes. Most likely in Solar, yes, because you are most likely always gonna play Soul of the Forest. Yes.
Because again, it's really hard to take all of these other fucking nodes, assuming this Stellar Innovation thing is likely to get fixed. We showcased that earlier. 20 what was it? 26 Astral Power per hit.
24, I think.
24. Fucking stupid. That's never going live, nor should it. Like that's dumb. Not a good play style. Smolder, you're especially on single target not likely to take a bunch of points in that. Maybe you take 1 point in that, but like realistically,
maybe take an AOE.
Yeah,
in AOE it's most likely to take with Wild. What is this? Wild Surges. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You end up with Soul of the Forest a lot of the time. In pretty much all situations.
Yeah, always take Soul of the Forest, always take Nature's Grace, like always take this block.
So hopefully that fucking fixes that shit where we end up in Lunar Eclipse perma. Just by itself.
Yeah, so they have to fix that, and they have to
This is the third time they've tried to fix it, by the way.
I
Or-
think buff Wild Surges so that it's viable in M+. I don't know if they want to do the kind of Lion Strength, Blood Talons thing where it's supposed to be a bit better to play Blood Talons, but it's a bit harder to actually play.
Yeah.
I can show it as well if you want.
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up.
But yeah, that choice node at the bottom in Feral 3, where it's like harder to play Blood Talons, but it's a bit more damage. And then Lion Strength is easier to play, but it's a bit lower damage.
I think that right now they're like almost universally Lion Strength. With some of the
yeah,
changes.
right now they're always Lion Strength, which is
that's how it is.
I think I wish we always play Wild Surges in M+. Unless it's like a Court of Stars dungeon where it's sure fine, you will play Stellar Flare.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anything you're looking forward to in regards to 4-set? I don't think I have anything really that I'm like, oh god, I really hope that they add this as a 4-set. The tier that we had in this most recent tier, it was one of my favorite tier set bonuses that we had in a while. Anything that's like jumps out to you as like something they should be looking to do?
They should be looking to try to not force you into a specific build with it.
Okay.
So how Pulsar was unbelievably buffed by the tier set, I don't think they should try and do that. Or if they do that, which I am assuming that has been the trend, right?
Yeah.
There was this trend where they added tier piece in like the last tier of Shadowlands where it forced you into some build. And then the same with this tier set that we have now, where it forces you into like Pulsar and some talents.
It's pretty flexible.
I hope
though,
it's something new, right?
Yeah.
Because if we are gonna play the same talent build every time, every tier, then that's gonna get boring. Right? I hope they force you into a new build. That's all I'm hoping. Something else.
Yeah, what if they forced us into Lunar Shrapnel?
Yeah, sure. Be my guest, bro.
I don't know how the fuck they would do that, but what if they did?
Yeah, like what if they quadratic infinite scales or Starfall to make infinite damage when we're at 20 target unholy DK? Give me a DI.
Bigger mic on that guy, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, make Treants.
Oh, fuck yeah, I'm down.
Press Starfire on ads. I don't know. No, give Treants a staff, bro.
Oh, I'm in.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Treants cast Starfall, oh, yeah.
I think that there's some stuff that they could do with their 4-set. It's really tough because I don't think that they should give us Astral Power generation in our 4-set now, or our 2-set in our 4-set anymore, because of how much generation they've just given us. I think that the writing's on the wall for them to not give us another generator 2-set 4-set because of what we just got. I don't know where. I don't know where they're gonna go.
I don't think they.
Maybe builder damage. I could
might
see
just
builder
be
damage.
A generic.
Yeah.
Either give crit. I think they're gonna go something with crit, bro.
Crit.
Bro, I think they're gonna go something with crit because they're like.
They're
trying to push this smolder thing. They're like really trying to push this, which I like. Sure, go for it. Something new.
It wouldn't be like a Loon's Grace or Nature's Grace. I don't know what it would be though. Something with crit. God.
That's basically the same shit as boat, right? Nature's Grace is like inverted boat, but with haste.
Yeah, like with Nature's Grace and boat. I don't know what they would do with crit. I'm sure they're gonna come up with something. They've actually
a stacking. Oh, they could make something like Rattle, where you cast generator and then you gather crit. Rip that bong, bro.
Dude. Oh, my brain. This tier, by the way, has been one of the hardest iterations of Moonkin and Min Max. There's been so much shit to track.
If this isn't the hardest one, I don't know what was harder.
It's just, bro, we gotta fucking think about Starfiring the wrong target. We gotta think about fucking not capping our 2-set. Don't munch Weaver procs. Starfall. No, not that Starfall proc. Like, oh my god.
Maybe the hardest one was bugging Rortek. That was
cringe. I don't know.
That was maybe the harder one.
I guess just overall, I've had a lot of fun playing Balance in Dragonflight so far. These continue to seem like steps in the correct direction for better QOL improvements. Not too many complaints. I was surprised that we got anything. I honestly just kind of expected compensatory buffs and a 4-set nerf, but the fact that they're willing to continue to iterate on the spec and make it better as a whole, I'm down. I am down.
Also, is this a new guy, by the way? Did we get a new guy?
Who is it?
I don't know, like, this guy that posted the thing. I'm
What?
gonna get flamed again
I don't know who that
by
is.
some person. This has 3 posts. So this is a new guy.
Could just be a community manager. I'm not 100% sure. Actually, it says WoW
Could
developer
be.
underneath his name. It says WoW developer's name, but maybe it's just CM. Not positive.
But yeah, I would get flamed again for this, I'm pretty sure.
Oh well.
Yeah. GG.
Any final
Well
thoughts?
played.
Any final words that you want to say?
Yeah, like, well played. Good changes, bro. Good job.
All right.
If the guy who did this is listening, good job.